Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So today I have a first impression review for you guys on a new foundation that L'Oreal has just released, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible Stay Fresh 24-hour foundation. I'm not too sure if this is actually a fully new released product. I am under the assumption that they've sort of revamped their original L'Oreal Infallible foundation, given it a better formula and a much better packaging, but it's just something that I read on the L'Oreal Paris UK website, that they've sort of revamped it. So this could just be the same product but looks better in a bottle and they've changed the formula a bit. But besides that, I'm going to be doing a first impression on this today. If you're wondering about the eye look that I have, I do have a tutorial coming up of this using the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. If I've already uploaded it, I will link it somewhere in this general area, so check that out if you haven't. So onto the foundation. I have to say I really like the bottle. I think it's very sleek, something simple, it's not too in your face, it gets straight to the point. It's the L'Oreal Infallible Stay Fresh Foundation, 24-hour, bam, it's right there. I really like how they've made this so slender and sleek. It's not going to take up a lot of room in your makeup collection if you have one, or in your makeup bag. It does come with a really nice pump. It has that sort of groove in the top of it where you can fit your finger on there nicely, so it is really nice. It doesn't disperse an excessive amount, it is just like a regular pump. I purchased the shade 130 True Beige, and this is the lightest shade that I got. I purchased it from PRICELINE. I believe its release price is like $31.95 at PRICELINE, but it'll originally be $35.95, I believe. You do get 30 ml of product, so it's your basic 1 fluid ounce foundation. I will just read to you what it says on the website. It says, a makeup with superior hold and moisturizing comfort for 24-hour flawless coverage. No touch-ups required. Fighting imperfections and shine without compromising on moisture. Skin is left truly infallible. And this is also available in 8 shades. On the back of the bottle, it does claim to have no transfer, no visible imperfections, no visible shine, no dry out, and no mask effect. So basically, it's claiming to be like a matte foundation, but with a flawless complexion. I'm not too fond of matte foundations. I love dewy foundations. I love the look of fresh, dewy skin. But I will still try this out. I'm sure I can make it dewy if I do apply a dewy setting spray or something like that. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to see how it lasts without any setting spray to see what kind of finish it does give. So for a foundation to claim that it has 24-hour flawless coverage is a big deal. Some of my favourite 24-hour like no mess with foundations are the Estee Lauder Double Wear and the Revlon Color Stay. I feel like the Revlon Color Stay is just more of a drugstore version of the Estee Lauder, but I feel like the Estee Lauder can give you that more of a flawless airbrush complexion than the Revlon Color Stay can. So for this to say that it can last for 24 hours, I will be like comparing the longevity of this to the Estee Lauder, because that is one of my favourite foundations. I wear it when I work out and it lasts throughout the whole hour that I'm there. It does not budge or anything. So hopefully this can live up to that. It's not too humid where I live right now. We are in winter, so I'm not really going to be sweating, but I do have oily skin. I mainly have oil just in the centre of my face and my T-zone area. My cheeks and my jawline don't get oily at all. So I'm going to get straight into me applying the foundation on my skin. So if you want to know how this foundation goes, then just keep watching. So first I'm going to be applying my moisturiser. I'm going to be using the MAC Strobe Cream. This does have a bit of an iridescence to it, but it's not really going to make the foundation look dewy. Next I'm going to be applying my primer, which is a L'Oreal LUMI Magique base. This isn't really a primer. It doesn't really help my makeup to stay on longer. I just purely use it for the dewy finish that it gives. It gives your skin a metallic look and just makes your skin look really healthy. So I'm just going to be applying a small amount of that. The reason I'm putting on primer and everything with this is because this is what I would normally do if I was to end up liking this foundation. Then I would do this. So I want to know how it lasts with all the products that I put underneath it as well. I usually use the POREFESSIONAL, but I want to see how this goes at covering up pores or if it enlarges it. So I'm not going to be using the POREFESSIONAL, but normally I would. But for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to. So I'm going to take roughly about 3 pumps, so that much, and using a damp beauty blender, Get my hair out of my face. And I'm just going to apply this, I'm just going to dot this on one side of my face to begin with. And then blend it in. I do have a few blemishes on my skin at the moment. But what I look for in foundation is mainly just covering up my freckles. Whereas I can use concealer really to conceal any of my blemishes. Whereas my freckles are over pretty much all of my face, so I want to use my foundation to cover that up. It's not really a runny consistency. It is a fairly thick foundation. You can see it's not runny at all in the container. It does seem to be blending in okay. Nothing too difficult, fairly easy in fact. Up close it does look a bit powdery. It doesn't necessarily look like skin. It doesn't look natural. It does look like a bit powdery. It doesn't look like I have a nice smooth foundation on my skin. It seems to have just blended in to the texture of my skin a lot more rather than sort of perfecting it and making it look flawless. So I'm going to apply another layer. And the coverage so far is, I'd say, about a medium. I feel like if you had dry skin, you'd want to use a good moisturizer with this. It doesn't seem to be extremely moisturizing, but I think if you had some dry patches, then it would definitely show up. So with the second layer, you definitely get a lot more coverage. I definitely think that this foundation is medium to buildable. I'd say right now I have a pretty full coverage. I do see some of the redness of my blemishes coming through, but I mean, if you just put an extra bit of foundation on that, then it would cover it completely. So that's it with 2 layers. So I've just applied the foundation over the rest of my face, and yeah, I definitely said that this has a medium to buildable coverage. I do think though that if you used a really small amount, you could definitely shear this out if you wanted, if you just felt like you didn't need that much coverage. But it does blend into the skin fairly easily. There's pretty much no extra work involved. It does feel a little bit sticky, but at the same time, it feels like my skin is soft, smooth, kind of that powdery feeling, like when you apply powder on your face over your foundation, and you touch your face and it feels smooth, sort of like that. I'd say the finish so far is like a semi-matte finish. I'm going to let the foundation dry for a bit longer, apply the rest of my makeup and see how it goes. So that should roughly take about 10-15 minutes. So I will be back to let you know how it's going after I've done the rest of my makeup. Alright guys, so I just finished doing the rest of my makeup. I will have a tutorial on this eye look using the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, so keep an eye out for that. But I've applied my bronzer, blush, concealer, all that jazz. I feel like my concealer was a bit harder to put on. I felt like because the foundation had pretty much already dried and set, that it was a little bit annoying to place on with my fingers, but as far as blending it in goes, it wasn't that bad. My blush and bronzer went on fine, highlighter as well, so any sheen that you can see on my face is from the MAC Soft and Gentle. I have to say that it's sort of dried to a natural sort of demi-matte finish, although I think if I applied the NYX Dewy Finish Setting Spray, then it would give it a bit more dewiness. I didn't apply any powder on over the top of this. The only powder that I applied was the Bare Minerals concealer, and that was for under my eyes, so there is no powder. But so far it looks pretty nice. It doesn't look horrible. I feel like the colour could have been a bit better of a match. This feels like it's a tinge too dark for me. I have a feeling that this sort of might oxidize a little bit throughout the day, and considering that the shade that I got was the lightest, that is kind of worrying considering there are people in the world that are a lot paler than I am. But it looks really nice on the skin. It doesn't seem to accentuate my pores or fine lines, but it definitely doesn't help diminish them or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely say that this is settled This is settled to more of a powdery finish. If you do look up close on your face, it does look a bit more powdery, and you can definitely see the texture of your skin underneath this. But from far away, it does look fairly natural and nice. It doesn't look cakey. So I'm going to leave this off the rest of the day, go throughout my day, do some computer work, edit some footage and whatnot. Right now it's 11:52, so I will be back in a couple of hours to give you guys an update on how it's looking. So stay tuned. Hey guys, so just checking in for a quick update. It's about 2:50 now. I haven't really been doing much, just went and had lunch with my best friend. I've been on the computer, and I've noticed that the foundation has oxidized quite a lot. There's a big difference from what it looked like when I applied it to what it looks like now. You might not be able to tell so much on camera, but you can definitely notice it in person. I've noticed that I have a bit more oiliness on my chin and forehead, a little bit on my nose, but most of that is just from the MAC Soft and Gentle. So not too much oiliness coming at the moment. I'm not too bothered with it right now. I could still go a couple more hours without blotting at the moment. So I've also noticed that the foundation that I applied on my neck has also rubbed off quite a bit. It could be because I might not have blended it in enough, but I definitely noticed it's a bit patchy on my neck and underneath my jawline as well. But the biggest problem I have right now is probably the fact that it's oxidized quite a lot. As far as the way my skin looks, in person it looks really, really nice. It does look quite flawless. But I can still see my pores and some texture of my skin around my chin, upper lip, forehead, some parts of my cheeks as well. So it definitely doesn't blur those out. It doesn't accentuate them either, they're just there pretty much. But other than that, I think if the colour didn't oxidize it, this would look really, really nice right now. The oiliness I can live with at the moment. My pores showing, I can live with that. But it's pretty much just the colour oxidizing is the biggest problem right now. So I'll be back in a few more hours to give you guys an update on how it's. Hey guys, so I'm back for my final update, but it's now about 6 o'clock at night, so I've been wearing this for about 6 hours. I feel like I've got a good impression of how this has been lasting. I haven't noticed a significant increase in the oil that's produced over the last couple of hours since my last update. It doesn't look intensely worse. There is a tiny bit more shine in this, but it's not like full grease ball, like can't handle it, need to like blot and powder and do all of that. It's nothing intense, it's just like a slight sheen to the skin. I do notice a bit of more of excessive oil just around my nose area just here, which is where I normally get it anyway, so that doesn't bother me too much. But if you do have really significant oil in the T-zone, I think that probably by now you would look significantly oily, and it would be a bit of a problem for you. As far as longevity goes, I feel like my bronzer and blush have stayed on really, really nicely. I do see some of the foundation wearing off around my jawline and on my forehead as well. I was looking in the mirror before and I was touching my face, and I noticed that some of the foundation around here had come off. It just left a fingerprint on my skin. So this foundation does claim to be, what is it, non-transfer, and I actually did wipe my jumper off onto my face and foundation did come off, so it does transfer. I think that it wouldn't transfer if you like tried to wipe it or something after you've applied it after it's set, but if you do have oily skin throughout the day, I think it will transfer. But if you don't have oily skin, sort of normal skin, it might not be so bad. It does claim to be no dryer, and my skin does not feel dry at all. It just feels, you know, slightly oily, like nothing too spectacular. I mean, it didn't prevent my oil from coming out. Even if I wear the Estee Lauder, I do get the shininess, but it's nothing too horrible. As far as the oxidizing goes, I feel like it's sort of toned down a bit. But it's still not the right match. Like, the colour that is in the bottle right there would be the perfect colour for me on my skin, but it does oxidize. I feel like this foundation is not 24 hours by any means. If I was doing a first impression on the Estee Lauder, the Estee Lauder would be looking absolutely flawless by now. I'd be a little bit greasy, nothing too oily, slick, you know, not even as oily as I am right now. And it would look absolutely flawless. It would not transfer onto anything. I wouldn't touch my face and it would come off. So I really don't think that this is 24 hour. I do think that it has a decent amount of longevity to it. You could probably get 8 to 10 hours wear with this. If you are dry skin, I definitely recommend using a good moisturizer underneath this. If you have normal skin, I think this would be an amazing foundation for you. I think it will look really, really nice on the skin. If you have oily skin, oily combination skin, I think this would work better for oily combination skin. If you're my skin type, it'll work really nicely. But just watch out for that oil in the T-zone throughout the day. But if you have oily skin, I feel like you might struggle with this a little bit. You might have to do powder throughout the day or blot, depending on which you prefer. It looks really nice on the skin. It does look natural. It doesn't look cakey or anything like that. After it sets into the skin and your skin sort of absorbs it a little bit, it does look really nice. It works with the skin well. It does not look like I just put a mask of foundation on my face. It does look really, really nice. I do have to give the foundation that. It didn't really do any good or bad for any of my pores or fine lines. It really did pick up the texture of my skin, so anywhere that I had pores or like skin that just wasn't smooth, it would really not emphasize it and not make it worse, but you could just see it, whereas some foundations, you know, they sort of blur that a little bit. They sort of do make your skin look a lot more flawless. I think this foundation can be a medium to buildable coverage, but you can sheer it out just using a really, really small amount. I love the fact that it has a pump. I love the packaging of the bottle. At the end of the day, the only problem that I have with it is just the oxidizing. If it didn't oxidize, I think this would be a really nice foundation. Even though I am looking shiny right now, I would still wear this all day. I just use the MAC Prep and Prime to blot, and I'd be fine with it. So, do you think that you're lighter than me? I don't think you're going to have any good luck finding a shade in this foundation, just because this is a light shade, 130 True Beige. So I don't think the colour range was very good for anyone with really dark skin either, so there is a slight problem with that. But at the end of the day, I think it's a really nice foundation. I think it'll work for most skin types. Just for oily skin girls, you might want to watch out for it. Take into consideration the oxidizing of it as well. I think it does look really nice on the skin. It doesn't give you that full blurred effect. It doesn't make you look like a supermodel. It's just a nice sort of everyday easy foundation. If you just want something to throw on, you know, you can build up the coverage of it, so if you do have any breakouts, you can cover them up with this. I personally think that this just isn't a long wearing 24-hour foundation. I don't think it would hold up that long. But if you do have dry skin, it might work for you, and if you have normal skin, it might work better for you. So I hope you all enjoyed this first impression. I hope it was helpful for you. If you do try this foundation out, please let me know in the comments below what it was like for you. If this video was helpful for you, please thumbs it up and share this video. Any products or anything that I've mentioned in this video, I will link in the description bar below, as well as my social media sites. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.